This conference will now be recorded.
The two IPs is available in the server. One is public IP and second is private IP. Like suppose this server public IP is 192.168.1.5 or 4. Like this is a public IP of this server. Sorry, private IP. And second is a public IP like 1.1.1.1. This is a public IP. Now you can just access this server like this is your Azure VM. When you access this virtual machine, you always use this public IP. Yes or no? And via this public IP, you can access the server. Everyone, till now?
Yes, sir.
Siddharth, Srishti. Now, guys, if
Yes, sir.
I'm not asking if I'm just using this public IP, that means the public traffic directly comes to my server. Yes or no? It is a secure or unsecure?
Unsecure.
This. Because anyone directly come to in my server, I'm just break this communication. I'm break this communication. That's why we are using a firewall. I'm not provide any public IP to this my server. That means if there's a no public IP is available in my server, that means no any public request directly comes in my server. Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now the what is the next point? I'm using a firewall. In the firewall work as a security. Firewall work as a security. In this firewall, I'm using a net. In a firewall, I'm using net, network address translation. The net translate public IP to private IP. And private IP to public IP. With the one public IP in a net, the one public IP you could translate one public IP to millions of private IP. So guys, with the help of net, you can reduce the cost of public IP address. Another point, with the help of net, you can reduce the cost of public IP address because you can use a one public IP and this one public IP address provide a translation with multiple private IP. Like for example, there's the n number of servers available in Azure. This is the n number of servers available in your Azure. One. And I'm like this server is for example SQL server is available, like ADDS server is available, like a web server is available, like any other like storage server is available. There are the different servers available, and every server use private IPs, but like a 192.168.1.4 this IP use 192.168 1.3 1.5 192.168 1.6 and 192.168 1.7. But if you can access this server in a network, in a public network, like this is your system, like this is a Mukesh, Siddharth, Srishti. These are the 3 users are available in 3 different locations. So if you can access this server in a WAN location, so that means WAN means is a public network. The required a public IP. If there's a no public IP is available, this service is not accessible in a WAN network. Got it my point?
Yes, sir.
Guys, if I'm just provide a public IP, that means the user 1, user 2 or user 3 direct traffic come to my server. This is another problem. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But I'm not the direct any traffic comes in my server. So now we are using a firewall. I'm using a firewall, or inside the firewall I'm using a one public IP and private IP also. Now the public IP is called 5.5.5.5. The public IP provide a communication with public network, and the private IP provide a communication with private network. And now I'm just remove the public IP addresses. And between this I'm just create a net rule and translate public to private IP or private to public IP. Got it? Now the average server are accessed via this same single IP. Got it my point? At this
Yes,
time,
sir.
the public request come in my firewall. This request stop, and now the firewall generate the another request with the private IP and forward to a specific server. This is a secure. This is a LAN, and this is called a WAN. That means there is a no public IP required to every server. Got my point, everyone? Mukesh, Siddharth, Srishti, any
Yes.
question related to
Yes,
this?
sir.
Any question related to this? Understand the concept of the firewall. So now inside the firewall, you can create a multiple rules which protocols allow to which particular server. Like I'm just create this is my cloud, or inside the cloud I'm just, for example, I'm create a one server, and in this server I'm deploy a one website. Now suppose this server IP is 192.168.1.4. Now if I'm just access this server, the via RDP protocol I'm access the console of this server, access console, and now via HTTP access web service. Now the second point, I'm just create one NSG, create a one network security group, and the allow RDP and SSH protocol. Secondly, I'm just create a one
हेलो सर
VNet. Yeah. Yes, Srishti.
सर आवाज पे क्लियर नहीं आ रही है आवाज
My voice is audible. Mukesh Siddharth, आपको क्लियर है?
Yes, sir. Very much clear.
Siddharth, Srishti, maybe in network is slow in your side. Now I'm just create a VNet. I'm create a one VNet. Or inside the VNet, I'm create a one VNet is a 192.168.1.0. And inside the VNet, I'm create a two subnets. This is like a LAN subnet. And this is for a firewall subnet. Guys, you remember when you create a Azure Firewall subnet, this is the same name is available. If you're using any other name, it give you the error. Now with the LAN subnet, I'm connect by NSG and also I'm just connect my server. Or in a firewall subnet, I'm attached my firewall. The firewall attached with my firewall subnet. You can see the connectivity process, guys. When you create a firewall, they also require the public IP of this firewall. Suppose the public IP of this firewall is 5.5.5.5. Now, my firewall is connected with my WAN network. Now, any WAN request come in my firewall. If any request like this is the user 1 and user 1 and this is the user 2. There the two users is available. The one user 1 is access in a RDP console. And second user access a web server. Now that means that this request come for RDP access. That means the console access. And this request user 2 request come for website access. Got it guys? So एक कैंडिडेट तो मेरा सर्वर के कंसोल को एक्सेस करना चाहता है, दूसरा कैंडिडेट मेरे वेबसाइट को एक्सेस करना चाहता है. Now the both request comes in my firewall. In this firewall, I'm create a two rules. I'm create a net rules like allow RDP and allow HTTP. Now this request comes in my firewall and firewall distribute this request to my web server. Got it the point?
Yes,
Got
sir.
it the concept? Now so we have implement these everything one by one. I'm just login with portal.
सर
And first yeah.
सर आप एक बार
Yes, Siddharth?
डायग्राम पे हाँ जी एक बार डायग्राम पे जाएंगे. सर एक बार इसमें आपने मतलब जैसे यूजर एंड से जब मैं रीच करूंगा इस पर्टिकुलर सर्वर को जो आपने बिल्कुल लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे क्रिएट किया था, तो उसके लिए सबसे पहले तो जो हमारा एक तो वैन नेटवर्क आ गया, जो आपने वैन नेटवर्क बनाया, फिर उसके बाद वो पब्लिक आईपी
ये
को,
वैन नेटवर्क हो गया
ये वैन नेटवर्क हो गया।
और
फिर
ये पूरा
उसके
लैन है।
बाद फायरवॉल हो गया। फायरवॉल के बाद वो रीच करेगा ये वीनेट का मतलब थोड़ा बताएंगे कि
नेटवर्किंग,
यहाँ
क्लाउड की नेटवर्किंग है, फर्स्ट क्लास में पढ़ाया था, नेटवर्क ऑफ क्लाउड।
नहीं नहीं वो
यहाँ पे
तो
मेरे
है।
सर्वर कनेक्ट।
हाँ वो समझ
हाँ,
में आ, बट वो फायरवॉल से वीनेट पे कैसे जाएगा?
अरे ये सबनेट है ना, ये वीनेट के साथ ही तो है,
हम्म,
वीनेट के अंदर ही सबनेट बनाया है ना दो।
अच्छा
वीनेट के अंदर मैंने दो ग्रुपिंग कर दिया है, एक ग्रुप कनेक्ट विद फायरवॉल, एक ग्रुप कनेक्ट विद वेब सर्वर, लैन और वैन। यानी कि इफ यू क्रिएट सबनेटिंग, जब आप करते हो, जब आप सबनेट क्रिएट करोगे इनसाइड द वीनेट, सो आपको फायरवॉल के लिए एक डेडिकेटेड सबनेट बनाना पड़ेगा।
ठीक है।
ओके, तो
ओके
मैंने एक बना दिया सर्वर्स के लिए सबनेट और एक बना दिया फायरवॉल के लिए सबनेट, बिकॉज व्हेन यू क्रिएट अ फायरवॉल इट्स आस्क्ड द
ठीक है।
सबनेट, और अगर आपने सबनेट क्रिएट नहीं करा तो आपका फायरवॉल भी क्रिएट नहीं होगा। गॉट इट सिद्धार्थ? और द सबनेट नेम इज सेम,
यस
यही नेम आपको रखना भी पड़ेगा।
ठीक है।
नाउ आई एम जस्ट गो टू पोर्टल, log in with Azure, create a resource group, click on a create, like firewall hyphen RG East US. I'm just using look like a Central US. Now the review and create. After that, I'm just create one VNet. Click on home and go to virtual network. Create. Select the subscription and select the firewall and give the name is VNet1. Now the next, inside the VNet you can add the range of the public IP addresses 192.168.1.0/24, and now you can just create a two subnets. So I'm just create a one subnet for LAN, and I put the IP range is 192.168.1.0/26. Now I'm just create a one more subnet for WAN. That means for I'm create a one more subnet for Azure Firewall subnet, and now 192.168.1.64/26. Now I'm created two subnet, the one subnet for Azure Firewall and second subnet for my LAN or either a server. Got it the point? Or either I'm just change the name is like a
Yes, sir.
server subnets and give the name of server subnet. Now the review and create.
सर इसमें एक चीज़ पूछनी थी कि जैसे अभी हमारा
Give me a
जो
minute,
ऑन
guys. Give me a minute.
प्रेमिसेस जो
Give me a minute. Give me a minute, guys. Give me a minute. क्या डियर बताइए क्या कह रहे थे सिद्धार्थ?
सर इसको ना एक्चुअली कंपेयर करके देख रहा था। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे मेरा ऑन प्रेमिसेस डेटा सेंटर होता है और वहाँ पे डिप्लॉयमेंट होता है, तो जो हमें वैन कनेक्टिविटी प्रोवाइड करता है ईएसपी, तो वहाँ पे वो अपना राउटर प्रोवाइड करता है और उसके बाद वहाँ पे एक पब्लिक आईपी प्रोवाइड कर देता है हमें,
समझ गए?
या फिर हम उसको
ऑन
आगे
प्रेमाइस में क्या
मतलब
नाम
जो है
होता है?
डीएनजी।
Router.
Demutualized zone is called firewall.
Firewall. Yes.
ठीक है।
कंपनीज के अंदर DMZ जोन होता है
हाँ जी।
जहां पर सर्वर्स लगे रहते हैं,
हम्म,
तो उसके लिए अलग नेटवर्क होता है, और सब लैन नेटवर्क जो आपके एक्सेस करते हैं वो अलग नेटवर्क होता है, बट बोथ आर
और
द
सर
सेम
जब
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। हाँ
बिल्कुल, तो अब जब हम यहाँ पे जब ये यही चीज़ हम जब क्लाउड में यूज़ करेंगे तो वहाँ पे जो कनेक्टिविटी जो वैन की कनेक्टिविटी है, तो उसके लिए तो मेरे को वहाँ पे तो कनेक्टिविटी चाहिए ही होगी ना, ऑन
नहीं,
प्रेमिसेस तो
वैन
राउटर लगेगा ही।
कनेक्टिविटी अजूरे करा रहा है, वो आपका काम नहीं है,
अच्छा।
वो काम अजूरे का है।
अच्छा, वो भी।
वो बैकएंड
ठीक है।
पैनल है, वो अजूरे बैकएंड में काम कर रहा है। अजूरे कह रहा है कि मैंने ऑलरेडी वैन कनेक्टिविटी कराई हुई है, आप अपने आईपीस डालिए और एक्सेस करिए सर्विस। कुल मिला के ये है कि यार आपके यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का काम बिजली BSES वाले करके चले गए मीटर लगा के, अब आप आगे क्या डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं वो आपका काम है। तो आपका काम है आपको अपने इस पैनल तक लेके आना है, इससे आगे का पैनल अजूरे का है।
ठीक है।
अजूरे अपना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर थोड़ी ना बताएगा कि उसने किस तरीके से आपको गेटवे बना के दिया है बाहर आने के लिए, बट इन ऑन प्रेमाइज हमें पता होता है कि हमने क्या गेटवे बनाया है बाहर एग्जिट पॉइंट के लिए। सिद्धार्थ, गॉट माय पॉइंट?
गॉट इट।
तो जब हम ऑन प्रेमाइज जाते हैं तो हमें हमारा एग्जिट पॉइंट पता होता है, क्योंकि वो हमने खुद से राउटर्स लगाए होते हैं, बाहर से एक लीज लाइन आ रखी होती है, वो सब हमने कॉन्फ़िगर करा हुआ है। यस और नो, यही आप
बिल्कुल
कहना चाह रहे हो ना?
बिल्कुल सर। हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
Yes, sir.
बट यहाँ पर नहीं, यहाँ पर हमारा फ्रंट एंड है, बैक एंड अजूरे मैनेज करता है। वो अजूरे की सिक्योरिटी है, अगर अजूरे ने अपना बैकएंड बना दिया फिर तो कोई भी अजूरे के नेटवर्क के अंदर इंटर कर जाएगा ना।
हम्म।
इज इट क्लियर?
क्लियर सर।
नाउ इज सिंपली कि I'm just go to create a subnet, and after that I'm just create a one network security group, and this network security group for within cloud only. That means the NSG allowed in a cloud resource, कि आप अपनी क्लाउड की रिसोर्स को कहां पर एक्सेस कराना चाहते हो। So now I'm just create which service you can allow. So as per the diagram I'm just allowed two service. One is RDP and second is like my NSG. Second is HTTP. Review and create. And when it's done, I'm just add inbound rules. So in a first class से ही हम अपना network security group, virtual machines और VNet create करना हम कर रहे हैं continuous. Last class में हमने storage finish करा था, and today I'm just finished in firewall. And go to resource and now click on inbound security rules and add rules, and now give the any the source is any, or either you select a specific IP, and destination is 3389. So the 3389 is a protocol of RDP, or either you select RDP. So you can select a service is RDP, that means I'm allowed RDP protocols, and priority is 100 and give the allow RDP. So I'm not allowed for every protocol, I'm just put the specific service name, or either is customized, and either you get just add a customized port. So choice your कि आप exit port देना चाहते हो या customized port. Like customize, I'm just put the, maybe your website is accessible via 8080 port, but I'm just allowed the 80. That means allow HTTP. So the port number 80 is the HTTP, or either you can select a port. So it's allowed the automatically. So now I'm just add two rules. One, RDP I'm allowed, because the via RDP we have access the console. Second, allow the HTTP. After that, I'm just attach this secure network security group with both subnets. So I'm just click on a subnets, associate, and first of all, I'm just attached with VNet one and select server subnet. So right now I'm just attached with single subnet. So I'm just attached. That means कि as per the diagram, I'm create a one network security group, NSG, and now I'm attached this NSG with this subnet. Now I'm just create a one VNet, or inside this VNet I'm create a one firewall subnet, and now second subnet I'm create a LAN subnet. So these are the two subnets are created by the VNet. Now the third option, I'm just create a one virtual machines and attach this virtual machine with server subnet. So now the how to create a virtual machines, I'm just click on VM, virtual machines. Create virtual machines. Give the resource group. I'm select the same resource group like web -server server. I'm using the central US standard. I'm select operating system is like a server 16, and image. Now the username is called ICCP and the password is. After that, I'm not allowed any protocol because I'm already allowed with security group, and now I'm select VNet one and server subnet is automatically selected, or this is a public IP of this machine, but we don't require for public IP of this server. So I'm just remove this public IP क्योंकि मैं अपने इस सर्वर पे कोई भी public IP नहीं चाहता. I'm access this server via firewall public IP address. Got it my point? Review and launch. So now guys, you can see if this machine is ready, there's a no public IP that's how to access this machine. So when you access this machine, there's a two ways is available to accessing this virtual machine. One is wait, I'm just first of all create in a deploy and create. Just a minute, I'm explain you. Now guys, you can see ki there the two types of environment is available in my organizations. Like ki suppose ki this is a WAN access, public IP or either a WAN access. Okay, like this is your company on-premise branch is available, and this company's this is a on-premise, like this is your company. On-premise, and this is your company users is available. Now when your company user access this systems, so this is another way you can use via VPN. So we also create a VPN, but if you create a VPN, your service is accessible only on within an organization. Got it? Via VPN आपकी जो सर्विसेज है वो विद इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ही एक्सेस होगी, बट अगर आप अपनी सर्विसेज को वैन में एक्सेस कराना चाहते हो, so you can use a firewall. Got it the point, the both concept. So VPN used for the LAN access and firewall used for the WAN access. Got it my point? So in the next class, we have just allowed
Yes, sir.
configure a VPN server. Concept is clear?
Yes, sir.
Siddharth, Mukesh, clear? Siddharth, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah, so थोड़ा loudly बताया करो यार, आवाज नहीं आती है. No way. And now, guys, each and everything is ready to use. Now I'm just configure a firewall, so you can search in a firewall. So guys, it is a payable service. बना हुआ किसी भी device, किसी भी gateway को मत छोड़ना. Firewall is also one gateway. Now the create a firewall and select the resource group and give the like my ICCP firewall. Now there is central India or which location. I'm just deploying the same location, center US. I'm not select any zone. This is a standard and use of firewall rules and choose a virtual network. So create a new network or existing. So my already network is deployed. So now I'm select a existing and now select a virtual network. So I'm just select a firewall RG. Now this VNet show when you create a firewall सबनेट. अगर गाइज आपने फायरवॉल सबनेट नहीं बनाया तो ये आपको वीनेट यहाँ पे डिस्प्ले भी नहीं होगा. Also, the public IP is required to firewall. I'm just click on add new and give the name is FIRE firewall public IP and okay. And now review and create. So you can see the 192.168.1.0 subnet is attached network. With this network, my firewall is attached, and you can see now we have create inside the VNet rules. So अब हमारा कॉन्सेप्ट है कि हमारा लैंड नेटवर्क बन चुका है. अब वैन नेटवर्क के अंदर हमें अपना ट्रैफिक क्या करना है, फॉरवर्ड करना है. दैट मीन्स रीडायरेक्ट करना है कि अगर कोई भी रिक्वेस्ट मेरे फायरवॉल के आईपी पे आती है तो फायरवॉल उस रिक्वेस्ट को कहां पर रीडायरेक्ट करे. आइदर मे बी द मल्टीपल सर्वर इज अवेलेबल. So choice is yours. You can create each of one rule or either you create a many rules. So आपके ऊपर आप हर सर्वर के लिए अलग अलग रूल्स क्रिएट करिए. So we have create a rule. We need a particular specific IP कि हमें किस सर्वर के लिए कौन सा रूल बनाना है, तो हमें उस सर्वर का प्राइवेट IP रिक्वायर्ड रहेगा. Got it? So now I'm just deploy कि मैंने एक वेब सर्वर डिप्लॉय कराया और right now you can see कि if I'm just click on a home and then go to the virtual machines and inside the virtual machine there is a no public IP is available. There is a no private IP is available. This is a 192.168.1.4. Now I'm just click on a remote desktop and type 192.168.1.4. It's deny my request because this is a private IP or I'm not access the cloud server via private IP, because if the VPN is available then I'm access this server via private IP. Got my point? तो अगर मेरा VPN बना होता तो मैं private IP से access कर लेता, but there's a no any public IP. But मैं public IP से भी तो access कर सकता हूं, but there's a no any public IP is available in my server. So I've accessed this server via firewall public IP. So this is my IP 192.168.1.4. I'm just go to the home and then click on a firewall. Wait guys.
Hello.
Guys, so you can see my firewall is ready to use it, deploy and successfully. Now I'm just click on my firewall, and this is a public IP. So if I'm just click, this is a public IP of my firewall. So I'm just copy this public IP. This is my firewall public IP. I'm copy this public IP and click on remote desktop connections, and now I'm just click on paste and then OK. There's not response. It deny the request because I'm not create any rule inside the firewall. So now I'm just create a rule inside the firewall. I'm just click on a rules and add rules and allow RDP and HTTP. I'm give the priority between 100 to 65,000. I give the 100. Give the rule name is allow RDP HTTP. Now the select the protocol types is TCP. Like allow RDP protocols and select the protocol types RDP. The source address I'm give the star, that means any, or either you give the specific IP, or the destination IP is a public IP of firewall. That means my source request come to my the public IP, and the port number is 3389 is the port number is 3389 is RDP. And translate address, yani ki this IP translate for which one? 192.168.1.4. That means ki if the any request come for 40.122, it translate this request to this IP for which protocol? 3389. Got it the point? Second rule, like
सर
allow
इसमें ये डेस्टिनेशन वाला जो एड्रेस है ऑटोमेटिकली पिक किया आपने?
क्या चीज सिद्धार्थ?
डेस्टिनेशन एड्रेस जो है
डेस्टिनेशन
इसमें
एड्रेस फायरवॉल का एड्रेस है, मैंने
40.1
कॉपी करा है.
अच्छा अच्छा
आई एम कॉपी द पब्लिक आईपी. अभी मैं आपको दिखा देता हूं. लाइक अलाउ HTTP, the protocol type is TCP, source star, that means कोई भी हो सकता है source. Destination IP is a public IP of my firewall. Which protocol you can allow and allowed 80, for which server 192.168 हो सकता है कि 1.5 के लिए आप इस बार अलाउड कर रहे हो, another server हो, but right now I'm to deploy one server and 80. And now add rule. So you can create a multiple rule. And you can see the public IP of this server. This is a public IP, if you understand. Got it, Siddharth?
यस सर
And when we create a firewall, and now the 100, the allow the RDP and HTTP protocol, and two rules is deploy and now is under process. When this rule is up to date, then I'm access my server, and you can see it's in a before creating a rule, I'm access this server, the request is denied. But if I'm access this server, you can see that my request is accepted by the firewall, and firewall redirect this request to server. Because there's a RDP, we cannot access the firewall through a RDP, but RDP was server, I'm access the RDP. So then the firewall translate the request come to this IP, and this IP forward the request to the 192.168.1.4, and 192.168.1.4 is the IP of my virtual server. So you can see the server IP 192.168.1.4, and then again you can see in a firewall, the firewall rule is up to date, is deploy successful. And now I'm just click on remote desktop connection, click on connect, and you can see it's accessible. Now the username is ICP and password is ASD@123. Now yes. So you can see that successfully my server is accessed through a firewall IP. That means that at this time my request come to my firewall, and the firewall forward this request in my server. So in that case, there's no any public request directly come to my server. Got it the point? Understand the concept of the firewall, Siddharth, Srishti, Mukesh.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just install go to the server manager and install web server IIS. Click add roles and features. The console is updated within 30 seconds. Next, next. And now is it web server? And now click install. Right now I'm using a 2016 server. These are the same steps. When the server is deployed, you can go in a C drive, or inside the C drive you can see the one directory is deployed automatically with the name of iNet pub. And now I'm just publish one website in this directory. So I'm just copy one website in my base machine. So guys, this is my base machine. I'm copy one website and come to my virtual machines. Inside the virtual machine, iNet pub and www root, and I'm delete this server and paste the files. तो जो फाइल मैंने वेबसाइट्स की कॉपी करी है वो मैंने यहाँ पे पेस्ट कर दिया गाइस. And now you can check the website कि it's working or not, but the same IP. So now the second request come for accessing the web service. Again this request go in my firewall, so I'm just copy the public IP is already copied in my public IP. I'm just go to the firewall, or inside the firewall I'm just copy the public IP of this firewall. But now I'm not deploy any website in a firewall and paste in a browser. And now hit, you can see that my website is accessible. Got it the point? Clear the concept, everyone? Thank you for today's session.
Yes, sir.
So this is the concept of a firewall.